The time being 10:15, I'd like to call Capital Budget Overview Committee to order. Um, and the first order of business is the acceptance of the minutes of the September 19th, 2022 meeting. Are there any corrections, errors, or omission or that anybody noticed in the minutes as distributed? Seeing none, I'd take a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Been moved by Representative Petrie and seconded by Senator Daniels that the minutes be approved. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the minutes are approved. We have no old business. We have no new business. We have no miscellaneous business. We do have some informational items that were passed out. Is there any desire on the parts of members of the committee to hear about these informational items? Seeing none.
Representative Graham, you may want to hear about the late informational item, just so that can be explained a little bit more.
Which the
one about the rail.
oh, I was getting to that.
Okay. I thought you were
I meant
including
the
that.
ones that were passed
Okay.
out. Okay. Seeing none on the ones that were listed on the agenda. I did ask a representative of the St. Lawrence and Atlantic Rail to come give us a very brief description of what is going on with a grant proposal for that railroad, and it is CAP 22-19 informational. And if you would do this. The reason I bring this up is because it is going forward, and I'm looking around, and several of the people sitting around this table will be back next year. So I think that it was important to understand what is going on and what the impact might be on money that we've already approved for them.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. First of all, I'd like to thank the chair of the Senate Transportation Committee and the chair of the Public Works Committee for submitting a support letter for this grant. The grant is called
If you could identify yourself.
Paul Wasowich, Gallagher, Callahan, and Gartrell, representing the St. Lawrence Atlantic Railroad. The grant, I'll just read it to you, is a Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvements Program, better known as CRISI. We're applying, St. Lawrence Atlantic has got the states of Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont making an application to finish up the remainder of the improvements needed to bring this rail up to, they call it 286 pound. That really means what you can carry on the rail. Right now, we're only allowed to carry 263 pounds. It's a full car, and it's really the modern businesses, when they're locating in a state, want to see what you have for rail service, and we don't have adequate rail in the North Country. And this rail was first started before the St. Lawrence Atlantic Seaway was ever built. The only way you got material from a product from Canada to the rest of the world was to come down to this they call it the St. Lawrence Atlantic Railroad. It comes down to its Portland, and you get to warm water, go up to Nova Scotia, and come down to even to Portsmouth. This the rail has been, the last time it was improved was back in the 40s. So we needed to get improvements. We've been doing it over the years. And in New Hampshire, we have 7 miles left to get to bring it up to 286 pound. Vermont has a portion, and Maine has a portion to get it up to 286. And we'd have a modern rail. And the reason it's important is when the business, I know they got the Business and Economic Affairs people go out and try to recruit companies to the North Country, the first thing they look is, what do you have for transportation? And they look at the rail and says, you've got an antiquated rail. We can't get a full car into our companies up here. So we've been and I've been working on it since 2010, and we've got it down in New Hampshire. We need about $7 million approximately. And Vermont needs 3.6, and Maine needs 7.6. So it was the first time we're going to get 3 states making a joint application. And as I said, the Chrissy Grant people, they thought this is an excellent project. And so we're going to see what we can get for money. What I provided was, again, I want to show you the map. That's what the St. Lawrence Atlantic Railroad comes down from Canada into Vermont and into New Hampshire and Maine. Right now, we're good up until we can get to Stratford in New Hampshire. We're up to Stratford, New Hampshire. Or they call it Mapletown, New Hampshire. That's the area we're up to. Good rail, and then we need another 7 miles to go to the Vermont border. And the next map is just showing where the product is coming to that area. We've been keeping track of what's trying to get up into the North Country. And item number 3 is the Tri-State Regional Rail Upgrade Project. Good explanation of the rail. And again, number 5 is sort of a history of public-private partnership that was started in the Public Works Committee, and what's happened, it didn't go to Transportation in the Senate, it was always going to the Public Works, to the Capital Budget Committee, because we were looking for funds, and we'd usually go into the capital budget when it came out of Public Works. So that's why it didn't go to the Transportation Committee. So that's my quick overview.
Thank you. And I would like to emphasize that we're talking about freight rail on this.
Excuse me, yes, this is
It's all freight rail, so that we don't get tangled into the whole debate on passenger rail on this. Is my understanding that with this request for the grant, that there is a requirement that we have some matching money, and that is the intention of St. Lawrence and Atlantic to use money that this body has already granted to you for improvements of that rail line to do the portion of that match.
That is correct. Last capital budget, we had 500,000 from the state and 500,000 from the St. Lawrence Atlantic. That'll be used as the matching monies to get the federal funds.
Thank you. And that's why I wanted those who are coming back to understand what's going on with that. Any questions from members of the committee? Representative McConkey.
Paul, thank you for being here, and the information you provided. Can you just, I missed the first, what was the weight? You're moving up to 286. What was the weight previously that was rated for, 286,000?
283. 283 is what we're going up to, 263. Correct, Senator.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, and there was no other business to come before us, which was kind of surprising since it's the last meeting before February or March, but it is what it is. We cannot set a new meeting for this statutory committee, since it will be up to the Speaker and the Senate President to appoint new members after next week. Will not be the highest priority that either of them have, since they have to set the committees in the House and the Senate, deal with parking, all those little things before they worry about statutory committees. So I would wager, even though it's illegal in this state, that it would probably be February or March before this committee would be called back into session by whomever is on that committee. With that, I want to thank all of the members of the committee, especially those two who drove down from the North Country for no business. Other- But thank you for coming down today. But for all of the work that's been done over the last 2 years on trying to keep the state on an even keel as far as the capital budget and what we're doing with our facilities. I thank you for all of your work on that. And with that, I adjourn the capital budget overview committee
Mr.
for,
Chairman,
yes.
again,
go-
I would like to thank you very much for your chairmanship of the committee over the last 2 years. And I know can be a difficult job, and I know being a previous chair, it can be difficult, but thank you very much for your professionalism and best wishes in your future endeavors, and hopefully we'll see you around from time to time next term. Thank you.
I fully intend to kibitz. But as I started to say, this meeting is adjourned subject to the call of whomever gets appointed as chairman. Thank you very much.
Last official act, John?
What?
Last official act?